The Sportsocracy.
Pull up your pants, take off the bra, and be a man.
Welcome back into the Sportsocracy on ESPN Asheville. Another round of draft needs as we head in to, the thick of the draftmas season.
Next week, boys and girls, the first team by team 7-round mock draft. Let's go.
He's going full on 7 rounds.
This is the hardest one to do because everybody has to walk out with an A+. And that's okay. That's okay. It's not easy to do.
No, well, it's right. I feel like you can't do that. I don't feel like there's a scenario where everybody gets the A+.
Did it last year.
Somebody's got to have.
Did it last year.
Somewhere.
Yeah, and a great team for that to be fire them cannons, by golly, put more powder in the
the Tampa Bay Buccaneers entering the post-Tom Brady era. As we all knew, they would eventually. Tom Brady has retired, and this team needs a quarterback. But why?
You already have one of those.
No, stop that.
Baker, interception maker. I cannot wait. I'm so happy. Every time I see Baker Mayfield's name under center for your team, it just fills me with glee.
It's going to be a month. 1 month.
Of all the things that you've said over the 3.5 years we've been doing this, I think the fact that you're digging in on that might be the dumbest one.
Why?
Where are you going to go? Now, if you somehow manage to fall into Will Levis, okay, maybe now we can talk, but I'm not even sure that's how that would go. Baker Mayfield's your quarterback.
What has Baker Mayfield shown you that makes you believe that he's going to start?
Well, he's obviously shown your front office something. Look, I think he is god-awful.
He costs us nothing.
He's also one of the only 2 quarterbacks in the NFL that has me blocked on Twitter. So I love this so much.
He cost you nothing, and he's one of the worst quarterbacks in the league.
And yet you prioritized him. Yeah, it's how you feel about Baker Mayfield is completely irrelevant to how Jason Light and Todd Bowles feel.
It's pretty clear that they paid $4 million for him at most.
I watched
That's incentives included.
I watched Todd Bowles do this exact same thing with Ryan Fitzpatrick. Okay? Watched it with my own 2 eyes.
Baker Mayfield's being paid as a backup. That's all I'm saying.
To who?
To Kyle Trask.
You're drunk. If you think the sheer fact that you have listened and agreed with me for 3 years that you would never bring in Cam Newton to be a backup for the exact same reason. And now it's your team, and you put your fingers in your ears like, nope, they don't believe in him at all.
Can't believe it.
Okay. You know that torture ticket that we love to talk about?
Yeah.
Where Tank has to go full cowboy downtown wearing a free hug shirt? Barring injury, Baker Mayfield starts more games than any quarterback on this roster. And I'll make it the same way with me, and I can't stand to be touched. I'll make it right now.
Right now. Anyway.
And you see how he changed the subject?
Yeah, what does this team need?
Right.
What does this team need in the 2023 NFL Draft? To me, number one has to be right tackle. Or left tackle.
Luke Goedeke is not that.
Right. Donovan Smith is gone, thank God. Tristan Wirfs, I'm not sure I like him on the left side. I think I like him being on the right side. So if there's a left tackle available at 19 in this draft, or even if you have to move up to get one, you do something.
I'm not. You're going to pay a pretty penny because I'm not sure that all Skoronski, Paris Johnson, Broderick Jones, I'm not sure they're not all gone after 13. So you're talking about having to get up into the top 12, which would be expensive. I'm not sure rephrase that. I'm not sure you're doing that for an offensive lineman because you need a right tackle. You could very easily sit at 19 and take Darnell Wright. You could sit there and take DeJuan Jones, and I think you're in just fine shape. I also have this funny feeling that Tampa, and this ends up being somebody on that defense.
Could be. On what defense?
On on New Orleans. What team do you think you're going to take on the Tampa Bay defense?
Yeah.
How
are we going to draft somebody that's on the defense already? I don't understand what you're talking about.
That goes to the defense. That you draft a defensive player.
Yeah, I was right there with you. I don't know why.
Then why did you stop me?
Because you said it weird. Didn't make sense to me. Okay, so add to the defense. Where would you add to the defense?
I've had this as the drop dead spot for Nolan Smith.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the further time's going along, I'm hearing that he's not making it past Pittsburgh, which makes it probably more likely that you take one of those second-tier right tackles. I mean, you kept the corners. If you had lost Jamel Dean, then corner would have been your biggest need, and you would have been a drop-dead spot for a lot of those guys, but you didn't. So now I'm looking at one ridiculously big need on the right side because Luke Gadecki is not good. I mean, he might be able to play at guard. I'm not real sure. He was horror awful and got Tom Brady just annihilated more than once.
Mm-hmm.
So that's probably where I would go. I'm still not – the bad thing is that I'm looking at some of the positions that you've invested high draft capital in. Interior of the defensive line, edge rusher, because you keep taking players that don't make sense. Logan Hall.
Oh, you liked that pick last year.
I liked that pick playing on the inside. And then he played on the edge a bunch of times, and I went, but no.
Well, he was never playing on the inside. That's Vita Vea's spot.
I'm not talking about playing at the nose. I thought he was going to play 3-4 defensive end, and he just did not do that as often as I thought he did. He would come in playing edge and four-man fronts.
Mm-hmm.
No. I mean, look, Tampa Bay's not as bad as we have made them out to be. Now, I think it is comically funny. Oh, it's not just me. I mean, in terms of Vegas odds to win the Super Bowl, you're 22nd. So it's not like anybody else is throwing you any ticker-tape parades anytime soon either.
No.
This is not just me. You have the worst coaching staff in the league. It's not close. In a league where who is the second worst coach in this league? Man, they fired them all. I don't have anybody to make fun of anymore. I was going to go Lovie Smith, but he's gone. Cliff Kingsbury's gone. Oh, no.
Gets tough, doesn't it?
It does get tough. Ooh, that makes it even worse for you.
You got to go with one of the new guys, I guess. Josh McDaniel. That's the answer.
I think that's probably the right call.
That's the answer.
All right, you're the Bucs fan.
Yep.
If you had your druthers, how does this draft go?
It goes Nolan Smith, obviously. If you could get him at 19, or
I'm going to say that's much less likely now than it was 2 weeks ago.
Or the left/right tackle, or Brian Branch. If there's a chance that he falls to 19, I could very well see Brian Branch ending up in this secondary because they've already talked about wanting to move Antoine Winfield to the free safety this year. And so Brian Branch comes into play strong safety with Antoine Winfield. Plus you got that secondary's taken care of at that point.
Yeah, but you signed Ryan Neal. I'm not really sure I feel like safety is not happening.
Mm-hmm.
Ryan Neal was actually good last year. And I think I look at that secondary now and go, I would take a slot at some point, but I'm not prioritizing it.
Mm-hmm.
I just see a path that Tampa Bay is the grossest team to watch in the NFL.
Sure.
Because you're still good defensively. I don't think you're great because I don't see a lot of high-level pass rushers. But, I mean, it's competitive.
Here's the thing. This team was gross to watch last year when Tom Brady was the quarterback.
Yes.
Now what do you think it's going to look like with Baker Mayfield and Kyle Trask?
Happy. It's going to look like happiness. And Kyle Trask has nothing to do with it. Yeah, your backup quarterback has nothing to do with it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's going to be good. It's going to be a good year.
You're in the Sportsocracy. This is ESPN Asheville. Got the daily draft coming up after the Sports Center update. And today, Jeremy and I are going to be picking our teams for the rest of the Masters tournament down in Augusta. So for the next 2 rounds, who would we have on our fantasy teams, our fantasy rosters? And more Draftmas coverage after the break.